Welcome back to Together We Awaken, Finding Light in the Dark. I'm Allison Brunner, your soul sister, human guide, and rebirth midwife. This is episode 11, When Enough is Enough, Reclaiming Your Energy, Worth, and Inner Fire. You reach a point in your life when it becomes hard to ignore something. It's a persistent knowing in your chest that you are giving too much. You've given too much for too long to something that's not working anymore. It could be a relationship, a job, a role that you thought you would grow with you, something you believed in very, very much. Something you tried hard, really hard to make work. And at some point, you've realized you've reached your limit. You've been carrying so much around it, holding the vision, doing the emotional work, bending, accommodating, but it's not meeting you there. And no matter how much more you give, it won't. And that realization can settle in and create this tension in your gut and a tightening in your chest that won't let you ignore it, won't let up. This feeling that something's out of alignment, and no matter how you try to adjust, it stays. This episode is about that experience where your body, your heart, and your spirit are nudging you, saying, you can't keep doing this. Once upon a time, there was someone that I was convinced was the love of my life. He was fun and creative and quirky. He had this unusual sense of humor and a kind of scattered charm that drew me in. And I think he really did adore me, at least in the way that someone can when they haven't done their own work or learned how to love themselves, or when they're split inside and not fully present in their own life. He had so many shadow pieces, obviously mirroring mine. There were so many vices he didn't want to face. A long list of things that were out of control in his life that he just wasn't willing to work through. But I ignored all of it because I had already decided from the outset he was the dream, the one I'd been waiting for. Sound a little codependent. And I told myself that story, that he was the dream, over and over, that he was everything I'd been waiting for, and that we had something profoundly magical, a cosmic connection, that this was it. But the truth was, he was a master of deception. And the only way someone like me could stay with someone like that, someone so intuitive would stay with someone like that, was by being a master of deception with myself. Because my intuition did know. My gut was always screaming. Everything in me felt the red flags, but I didn't want to believe it, because believing it would mean shattering the dream, walking away. And I wasn't ready to do that. So I stayed in the fantasy. I stayed in love with the version of him that I had created in my head. Not the man who was actually standing in front of me. Not the one who was raising the red flags every day, saying, see me, see me. It's like he was begging and I refused. Not the one who couldn't meet me and never would. And what I see now is that I wasn't just trying to be loved. I was trying to be chosen by someone who didn't even know how to choose himself. And this is what I want to say to anyone listening who's been there in a relationship, a career, a home, a role where you have given everything you had, everything, where you kept hoping that it would get better, where walking away felt like a failure and an utter waste of time. But I promise you, none of it was a waste. Even if it broke your heart, even if it lasted way too long, even if you knew deep down you should have left years ago, it was not wasted. That time shaped you. It taught you something. And if you're ready to walk away now, but you're hesitating because you fear it was all a waste, if you're feeling the ache in your chest and your gut telling you that you can't keep doing this, please hear me. It's okay. It's okay. Here's what came through for me after I allowed things to end with him. My psychic abilities came online in a way I have never experienced before. I started to trust my inner knowing, really trust it. And the more I did, the stronger it got. And I started to see my worth a whole lot more clearly. I began to understand in a deeper way why a man could love me. And I began to give that love to myself. It's not that I didn't already love myself. I did. But this was different. This was rooted. It wasn't about trying to heal someone else anymore or proving my worth by how much I could give or understand or be patient just to feel chosen. It was the kind of love that shows up for you in the dark and holds you when no one else does and keeps whispering, I've got you, even when you feel like you're falling apart. I started to enjoy my own company again, not just tolerate solitude, but actually like being with myself, have fun, a lot of fun with myself. So that's where things began to shift. After that relationship ended, I started to see other places in my life where I'd been doing the same thing, giving and giving and hoping that it would eventually lead to safety or abundance. You take a drink of water. One of the biggest areas this showed up was in my work, specifically as a psychotherapist. I'd been a therapist for almost 2 decades. I had built a reputation. I got referrals. I had a waiting list. I helped people heal, and I was good at it, really good. But behind the scenes, I was exhausted. A theme. I know it's a theme in the stories that I share. But it was not just from the sessions. It was from the emotional weight that I carried trying to be the kind of therapist that I thought I was supposed to be. For so long, I undercharged and I accommodated everyone's needs. And I worked through illness, through heartbreak, through burnout, through fevers. And deep down, I think I believed that if I just gave enough, worked harder, stayed open enough, flexible enough, understanding enough, then life would reward me. But that reward never came because I was still operating from a belief system that I didn't even realize that I had actually inherited. Scarcity, survival, proving my worth by sacrificing myself. Overgiving as a way to feel good and safe and spiritually righteous. And this didn't start with me. It was passed down from my ancestors. Generations of women in my family, women who gave everything they had and more. Women who believed love and security were things you earned by staying small and giving it all away. Women who never got to rest. And in the world of psychotherapy, that pattern was reinforced. The training, the ethics, the insurance panels, the martyrdom culture of helping professions. It all fed that part of me that said, you don't get to rest. You don't get to charge what you're worth. You don't get to say no. You don't get to take vacations. You don't get to have the nice things. But something in me was shifting slowly at first, and then it became impossible to ignore. I started raising my rates. I stopped taking insurance. I got clear about the kinds of clients I wanted to work with. And I stopped working with people who expected everything for nothing. And that part was so hard because I can honestly say I loved my clients, every single one. From deep in my heart, I loved them. And I felt like I was abandoning them. It's crazy, isn't it? But it was about me, about choosing myself, not abandoning me. It was about letting go of a version of success that came at the cost of my well-being. And I want to say this to anyone who's feeling that same pull, that whisper, that inner voice that says, you can't keep doing this. Whether it's your job, your identity, your role in your family. It's draining your life force. If it's built on sacrifice, it's okay to walk away. Not because it didn't matter and wasn't important, but because you do. You are. There was grief in the leaving, deep grief, not just for my clients, but for the parts of me that had been taught that good women give everything away, that spiritual people shouldn't want more, that receiving is selfish, that ease is somehow less noble than struggle. I had to grieve the years that I spent under earning and the ways I betrayed myself in the name of service. Grieve the systems I said yes to, not because they worked, but because I didn't believe I had a choice. And that grief, honestly, it cracked something open in me. It became a turning point. I began to realize that I couldn't keep trying to be generous from a place of lack. I couldn't keep trying to give without also being willing to receive. And I couldn't keep waiting for someone else, some system, some person, some force to rescue me from the consequences of my own undercharging. If I wanted to be free, I had to do it differently. I had to start honoring my time, valuing my gifts. I had to stop apologizing for needing money to live. And I had to trust that the people who were meant to work with me wouldn't be scared off by my rates, that they'd actually respect me more for holding my value, and that I could be of even greater service when I was resourced, rested, and rooted. 3 R's. My breaking point happened inside the walls of the home that I was living in. The house had become one more place where I was pouring my heart, pouring my energy and my attention into something that just wasn't giving back. There were so many issues: power outages, pipes bursting, mold, little critters that were supposed to be outside coming inside, leaks, appliances that never really worked correctly, doors that stuck so badly I had to kick them to close or yank them open with my all of my weight. And then there was the noise, hammering, drilling, banging, sawing, demolition work, and it went on for 7 months, on more days than not. And it got to the point where I couldn't sleep through the night. The disruptions weren't just physical, they were spiritual. And my nervous system couldn't settle. And my body never felt safe. I was tired of tolerating things that didn't support me and trying to bloom in dry soil. And I remember thinking, I am 50 years old. How am I still living like this? I'd spent the first part of my career perfecting my writing, trying to master my craft as a journalist, believing it would eventually support me. And then I went to graduate school and poured thousands of dollars into becoming a therapist. And after 18 years in the field, here I was. My peers were not just buying homes, but now they were in the phase of renovating, building wealth, creating stability. And I couldn't find a single place in my price range that didn't require either massive renovations or a crushing amount of debt. You might say it's the economy, it's the interest rates, it's the cost of housing, it's the cost of education. Yes, that's part of it. But all of those outer things were showing me patterns and belief systems on the inside that I really needed to look at, that it had come time to get real with. But the grief of it all hit hard because I had worked so hard. I had done all the right things, and I built a private practice from the ground up. I helped people heal. I showed up with everything I had. But the truth was, I had built it all on a foundation of overgiving, undercharging, or underreceiving, and constantly proving my worth through service. And when I looked around at my life, at the house, the finances, the exhaustion, I realized this is not the life I came here to live. That was the moment I knew that I had to make a change, not just in where I lived, but in how I lived, in how I used my energy. in what I said yes to, in what I tolerated. And I didn't want to keep patching holes. I wanted to build something whole. Since that moment, though, I've been pulling my energy back. And this has been going on for months, right? And the roles that had drained me, relationships that took more than they gave, the systems that never had room for someone like me to thrive. I've been learning what it means to stop pouring everything I have into what doesn't pour back, and learning how to stop rescuing, stop overcompensating, stop proving. I've been learning how to rest without guilt and listen to my body and trust that being deeply resourced emotionally, spiritually, and energetically isn't a luxury. It's a requirement. And I want to offer that same space to you. If you are someone who's been giving everything you have to your clients, coworkers, job, your kids, your marriage, your community, and you started to feel this feeling like I can't keep doing this, I want to invite you to the Hearth. The Hearth is my group healing circle, an intimate, spirit-led space where you can soften and be supported and come home to yourself again. We meet the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm going to expand to offer additional circles so that there will be a Hearth gathering every week, each at a different time. And those new session times will be announced soon through my newsletter, which you can subscribe to at AllisonBrunner.com. Or you can check the group healing page on my website for updates. That's AllisonBrunner.com. You can even sign up there to attend. Each circle is intentionally small. I used to limit it to 8 people, but I've realized that 5 is better for now, so that everyone can be seen and felt and tended to. And if it's your first time attending, you can use the code WELCOME at checkout to receive $50 off your first Hearth session. In these circles, we gather and ground, and we share what's real. And then we go inward into healing and energy work and inner restoration. It's a space to refill and reconnect and receive what you didn't even know you needed. You don't even have to have the words for what's happening in you. You just need to show up. Thank you for being here and for listening. Thank you for waking up with me, for feeling with me and remembering what matters. If this episode brought something up for you, if you feel the grief of having to let go or the fear of claiming something new, know that, as I've said before, you are not alone. You're not broken. You're not behind. No time has been wasted. Nothing. None of your efforts have been wasted. Because now you're waking up. And that is so sacred, so important, and so holy. And I will see you next time.